To all those people who think this food is not worthy or is boring or outdated, I've got one thing to say to you: balls! Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chow with Lau. I hope you're well, I'm well, you're well, everybody's well. Great. And today I'm going to show you how to make sweet and sour pork balls. Let's do this. So first things first, we're going to start off with the pork. Bring on the meat. Right, so I'm going to make this for two people. I've got a couple of nice juicy but quite lean pork chops here. You can use other cuts of pork if you like. My actual favourite is pork belly because I do like a lot of fat going through the pork, but I know a lot of people don't like that, so I'm using pork chops here. So we're going to trim off the excess fat, and then I'm going to cube up the pork into, I don't know, it's about 1-inch cube, near enough. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. So 2 pork chops here make 14 cubes, 7 pieces each. That's not so bad. So the next step is to marinate our pork. I'm going to pop in half a tablespoon of sesame oil, about a tablespoon of light soy sauce, and half a teaspoon of sugar. Give it a good mix and set it aside for an hour or so. Right, so onto the sweet and sour sauce, and for this we're going to need half a pepper, which I'm just going to dice roughly up. Half a white onion, which again I'm going to just roughly dice up. And a thumb-sized piece of fresh ginger. And I'm going to just finely slice this so it can release all its flavours into the sweet and sour sauce as we go. To make our sauce, I am going to place about a tablespoon of cooking oil into my wok. We're not properly stir frying, so it's okay to use any. You can use a big saucepan for this, it's not a problem. I'm using my non-stick wok today just because it's handy. I'm going to put all the freshly chopped ingredients in, the onions, the ginger and the peppers. And that's going to give us a bit of a depth of flavour to the sauce. We don't just want sugar and vinegar, which is essentially what sweet and sour sauce is. And we can actually kid ourselves into thinking we're getting some vitamins into this as well, which of course we are. Not a lot though, not a lot. And maybe not enough to justify the sugar. And all we're doing is gently frying it to release the aromatics so that we're going to have a really nice sauce. The idea is not to leave the peppers and the onions and the ginger in the sauce. We're just going to have it as a sauce, but you can by all means eat it and put the whole lot in. Not many people are keen on big chunks of ginger, so you might want to remove those. But all I'm after is for it to deliver all the aromatics that are in these ingredients. Okay, so now it's softened up. I'm going to put 100 millilitres of plain water in there. And I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of ketchup. Oh yes, ketchup. That classic Chinese ingredient. But don't knock it. People always knock it. It was like 3 or 4. 3, I don't know. That's 4, isn't it? If I can't do 5, it doesn't matter. It's not crucial. Ketchup is a wonderful ingredient. 4 tablespoons of malt vinegar. This is the classic vinegar to use. You can experiment with others. I've used black vinegar before, which is less acidic and less sweet. It's a different kind of flavour, it's more subtle. 4, 5, I don't know, 4. 4 tablespoons is fine. This is all, it's all approximate, doesn't have to be exact at this stage. Got 2 tablespoons of sugar here. I'm going to see if that's enough. I'm cutting down. I normally put 4 tablespoons of sugar, but I am trying to make an effort here. Just going to test that, see what it's like. That's fine. I don't think it needs any more sugar. And if you don't want to use sugar, you can use honey syrup. A lot of people use honey, which obviously you get the sweetness, but it gives it that honey flavour. Finally, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of dark soy sauce. This is a tip from my mum. Adds a little bit of colour, just makes it obviously a little bit darker, but it'll also give you that slight hint of soy flavour, which I think balances everything else out. And you would normally use, I suppose you could use salt, just to, again, balance the sweet and the sour, but the soy sauce is going to do that for us and add that little bit of depth of flavour. Yeah, sweet and sour sauce is much maligned because people think it's literally sugar and vinegar and ketchup, but I think we can do better, and we are doing better. That is just about ready. So we can set it aside so we can get ready to batter our balls. You see, I feel that sweet and sour pork balls are one of the most underrated dishes in Chinese cooking. Why? Because it's one of those that I call the originals. When my grandparents and my parents moved over here, it was one of the first things that appeared on the menu, sweet and sour pork balls. And at first, of course, everybody lapped it up, but as the years went by, it became a little bit jaded, a bit boring, if you like, and it's kind of faded down the popularity scale. But I'm here to bring it back, because a crispy ball encasing a nice juicy piece of pork dipped in some amazing sweet and sour sauce. What could be better than that? So for our batter, we've got two different types of flour. This is 100 grams of plain flour, which I'm going to season with about a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of ground white pepper. Give it a shake. Just get it in. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. Right. Okay. Into that, I'm going to drop my pork bits, which are going to become balls. Okay. Now, the flour quantities here will make more than the amount of pork I'm making. So you can make quite a lot. You can probably easily double, maybe even triple the quantities of pork we're doing here. But you need a quantity to make sure that you cover. If you put too little, even though you've got actually technically sufficient flour, it's not going to cover your pork. You can anyway, what you got to do is just, this flour is to kind of just coat. This is the coating before the main flour. For the next stage of our batter, I've got 200 grams of self-raising flour, okay, to which I'm going to add a teaspoon and a half of baking powder to give us that extra rise. And to that, I'm going to add some lukewarm water, which accelerates, it makes things lighter and fluffier, as well as the raising ingredients that we've just put in. Okay, now this is one of those suck it and see moments, right? I'm going to add this amount of water because we want to be able to add water if we need to, but you can't take water away once you've actually put too much in. You can add more flour, of course. Okay, so I'm going to add a bit more. That's my 100 ml. We're going to give it a good stir with a whisk. Obviously, we're going to need more. And I'm doing it this way because more often than not, when I first started making this, I always put in too much water and the batter would be too thin. Okay. Oop. Fun, fun, fun. You might want to wear an apron. Okay, there we go. Well, I'm going to do this old school to start with anyway. I'm going to use my hands. Okay. Don't worry that it's lumpy, it'll be fine. I promise. Right, okay, now we're getting there. Now we're getting there. Now I'm going to go in with a whisk, try to smooth it out. It doesn't want to be too much thinner than this. You can add a little bit more, not too much. So I reckon we've had about 400, 500 ml water. Experiment. Just add a little bit at a time until it comes together. Even though it's thick, it still feels really light, which I guess is what we want, isn't it? Look at that. There we go. That is pretty good, I think. Again, this is far too much for the 14 pork balls that I'm going to be making, so you can make more. So I'm going to heat up some oil, and then as I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm going to drop these into the batter. You can see the bubbles coming from the raising agents, like the baking powder and the actual self-raising flour itself, and that's what's going to give us our lightness and fluffiness and crispness. Okay, so we're looking at well over an inch of oil in your pan or your wok or whatever you're using, right, at about 180 degrees centigrade, which is about 356 degrees Fahrenheit, which is normal frying temperature. The bamboo stick is bubbling away, as you can see. We can double check this by just dripping a little bit of the batter in. It should float up instantly. Perfect. You see, there you go. Because if it's too cool, then the pork balls will stick to the bottom of your pan, and that's no good. Here we go. Let's see what kind of ball I can. This is not my strongest suit. I can never get them perfectly bally. I can get them quite nice and I can get them nice and crisp. There we go. Float. There you go. Mine are more like asteroids. Mine are more organic. There you go. Oh, they're coming up nice. They are coming up nice. The batter looks fantastic. And if you are making a big batch of these, cook them in batches, because you don't want to overload the oil. If you overload the oil will cool down too quick and you won't get your crispiness. Grab my spider. Oh yeah, these have come out nice. Excellent. And we're just going to wait for them and just turn them so they're cooking evenly on all sides. And they're going to go golden brown. When they're golden brown, they should be done. They're nice. This is a good batter. Check out those bad boys, as the youth say. Right, I think these are done. These are wonderful. They're great. I'm so happy. Switch the heat off. Always remember to do that. Look at the golden brown. My gosh. And so the last thing I've got to do is finish off our sweet and sour sauce. Okay, so I'm reheating it, and I'm going to add, this is potato starch. Got a tablespoon of potato starch in here with a little water. You can use cornstarch, which I normally use, but potato starch is actually better because it gives you a cleaner, clearer sauce. It's very, the differences are very minor, but if you really want that perfection, then potato starch is the way to go. Neither of which will actually impart any flavour to the sauce itself. So there you go. Thickens it just nicely. I'm just going to strain it out into this jug, because for the purposes of my recipe here, I'm not going to put all the veggies in, but you can do, like I said. And the other thing with sweet and sour sauce is you don't need gallons and gallons of it. You just don't need enough to coat your. You just need enough to coat your balls. I'm sorry. And the last thing I'll say about sweet and sour sauce is, don't put it on too soon. Otherwise it's going to soak into your batter and you're not going to get the crispiness. You're not going to have crispy balls. There you go, guys. It's just so good. Honestly, I don't get food snobbery. This is good on anybody's table. I defy you to eat this and not like it. Sauce isn't too sweet, and the sharpness cuts through the batter. It's like putting vinegar on your fish and chips. It just works. It's just a classic combination. The crispiness of the pork, I think you can hear that. The pork marinated to perfection. It's tender, juicy. hot. Great balls of fire. Make it, you won't regret it. Simple, bit messy, but simple. Please make this. Go on, make it. To all those people who think this food is not worthy or is boring or outdated, I've got one thing to say to you. For everybody else, please like and subscribe. Join my Patreon. Give me a super thanks if you think I'm worthy. Everything is contributing to the channel. Buy more ingredients, everything else. I've got some new lighting and some new sound equipment that's coming, courtesy of the revenue I'm generated from doing these videos. It's getting piled back in. We're trying to make the production values better, make me look a little bit better, sound a bit better. It's all good. Anyway, I shall see you in the next one. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.